Dr. Billy Williams, President of Inspire Nation Business Mentoring and the head instructor of the Fix My Insurance Agency Implementation Workshops. Today I'm going to talk about the 8 reasons that average and below average insurance agents are so far behind above average insurance agents. As an investor and mentor in many insurance agencies, I get to see the distinct differences in above average agents and below average agents. So here are the 8 reasons that average and below average insurance agency leaders are so far behind above average insurance agency leaders. Number 1, they don't make the time to spot check or hold people accountable. The one thing I hear all the time is, I'm so busy. Billy, you don't understand. I'm so busy. But most of their busyness comes from trying to clean up mistakes and problems that happen because they didn't take the time to implement consistent processes, they didn't have workflows, and they didn't spot check. The lack of a dedicated time to perform implementation, spot checks, and retraining is a consistent weakness I see in average and below average agencies and agency leaders. Number 2, the agency doesn't have clearly defined processes and workflows. If you don't make the time to create wealth, all of your time is spent fighting off poverty. Those of you that are familiar with me know that is a mantra I live by every day. So let me say it again. If you don't make the time to create wealth, all of your time is spent fighting off poverty. You see, average and below average insurance agencies, they never planned on being successful. Success is having clearly defined, repeatable activities that turn into habits. A person can create failure habits just like they can create success habits. In a struggling or low-performing agency, everybody does things their own way. There's not a well thought out way of doing things, and there's no established agency processes. Number 3, the agency leader doesn't know how to pull the correct reports in the agency management system that will allow them to spot check processes. This goes back to not having established agency processes and workflows. You don't need every bell and whistle in your agency management system, but you do need to know how to implement and track the processes that are important to your agency. Consistently spot checking the team will force you to learn what reports you need and how to pull those reports. So I always tell agents, you do it and eventually you'll learn how to do it. Okay, it's the same thing with pulling reports. If you consistently try to pull reports, you will eventually learn how to pull reports. But you better know what you're pulling the reports on. You should be pulling those reports to spot check, pulling those reports to develop the right list, pulling those reports to see the activities. Don't just... Number 4, everyone in the agency uses a different tool to perform standard tasks such as email, notes, and text messaging. Why is that a problem? Because you can't track what you can't see. You can't track what you can't keep up with. Herding cats. And that's what it feels like when everybody is doing something different. When one person's using Outlook for their email and another person's using the agency management system and another person's using Gmail, and now you're supposed to come in and spot check, not going to happen. It truly feels like you're herding cats. And as we all know, you can't spot check a herd of cats. Number 5, no consistent processes for labeling and categorizing tasks and notes in the agency management system. Here's the deal. I'll go into agencies and I'll say, pull this report and show me your completed activities. Well, there is no uniform way of labeling. There's no uniform way of categorizing a task. So therefore, there's no uniform way of spot checking those completed activities. Pulling proper reports is only part of the equation. If tasks and notes are not uniformly categorized or labeled by every staff member, the reports will pretty much be useless or at least difficult to identify, sort, and filter. And usually, the more complicated the task, the more likely an average or below average agent is to just blow that task off or completely avoid it. Number 6, no dedicated time to retrain staff once a problem has been identified. Average and below average agents are not making the time to initially train staff, initially spot check staff, so they sure aren't making the time to retrain staff. What does that mean? That means that the agent and the staff members start to feel like they're running in quicksand, which is the more they try to straighten things out, the more difficult things become. The more they struggle to get the agency back on track, the more it feels like they're failing. so they truly feel like they're running in quicksand. Number 7, staff has no repercussion for not following the agency processes. Average and below average agents will go to a conference or meeting and come back to the agency with a bunch of new tasks, tools, technology, and they say, staff, I want you to put these things in place. But because there's no consistent training, no spot checking, no retraining, no accountability, the agent's wishes just die on the vine. The agent's mad, but what do you have? What repercussion do you have in place to make sure that that doesn't happen? Usually there's nothing. There's nothing that's put in place. So at the end of this, I'm going to tell you some repercussions you can put in place. Number 8, weak marketing and prospecting processes. Did you know the insurance industry, as an average, has a cold lead attempt to confirm prospect ratio of 3%? That means for every 100 cold calls you make, every 100 letters you mail, every 100 people that interact with your social networking ad by clicking on a link, you'll roughly have 3 people that are really interested in your products and services. So if we stick with that, low average agencies don't consistently market or prospect. They don't consistently ask for referrals or testimonials. So is there any wonder why their sales numbers are in the toilet? No, there isn't. So I don't want to just leave you with a bunch of problems without offering you some solutions. Okay, so let me go over each of these and give you some solutions for each of these things that I mentioned. Number 1, they don't make the time to spot check or hold people accountable. Here's the solution. Select one process you want to implement in the agency and dedicate 1 hour per day to creating a workflow for the process. If you're an Inspire Nation member, simply look up the process in the video library and use the workflow and checklist that we provide to you. After you have the workflow created, implement one task of the workflow at a time with your team until all of the tasks, automation, and tools that are part of that workflow are in place. All the processes have to be trained at least twice. That means you have to have at least 2 hours, That means you have to have at least 2 hours for training. But here's what you'll find. As you do this, you're going to see the tools and how they actually work in that process. You're going to see the task and how they work in that process. And you're going to see the people and how they should work in that process as well. Let's move on to number 2. The agency doesn't have clearly defined processes and workflows. What's the solution? I just gave it to you. Okay, select one process you want to implement in the agency and dedicate 1 hour per day to creating the workflow and training that workflow. Number 3, the agency leadership doesn't know how to pull the correct reports in the agency management system that will allow them to spot check the processes. Same solution as number 1, plus you want to contact your agency management system and let them know what you're trying to do in the system and ask for their help. Number 4, everyone in the agency uses a different tool to perform standard tasks such as email, notes, and text messaging. Is number 1. As you learn and train the processes, you can migrate everyone to using the tools the agency leaders decides is best. Okay. Number 5, no consistent processes for labeling and categorizing tasks and notes in the agency management system. Same solution as number 1. Select one process, train it, understand the tools, understand the task, and understand the people and what they should do. Number 6, no dedicated time to retrain staff once a problem has been identified. Well, once you have the workflow created and you've trained it, you'll take that same hour that you were dedicating to learning and you'll use it for retraining. Number 7, staff has no repercussions for not following the agency processes. This is a big one, okay? This is a big one. Here's some things you can do. Number 1, force the non-compliant team member to teach the process at one of the office meetings. I've learned in life the best way to learn something is to teach it. So force them to teach it and you'll force them to learn it. Now, a second thing you can do, hold back a percentage of a bonus or commission until the team member is making a valiant effort to implement the process. We use this thing called enhanced pay. Enhanced pay is a portion of your salary is not guaranteed. As long as you're following the tasks and activities that I need you to do, you don't have a problem. But if I see you not even trying to do what I need you to do, I've got a portion of your pay that I can hold back until you get back in track. You can give the non-compliant team member a written counseling. But let's be honest, average and below average agencies don't counsel. Okay. They don't have written counseling. They don't have counseling sessions. They just complain. They don't actually do anything to fix it. You can force that person to train the process. You can hold back a percentage of bonus or commission until the team member is making a valiant effort to implement the process, or you can give them written counseling. Number 8, weak marketing and prospecting processes. Here's the solution. Select one easy to implement marketing campaign, such as asking for a referral when a customer makes a payment or asking new customers to write a testimonial. Have each team member keep a tracking log. That's nothing more than writing it on a sheet. Have them keep a tracking log that has the name of the customer that they ask, and then they turn that into you once a day, once a week, whatever you decide. But until you start putting it on a list, it doesn't exist. That's a military saying. If it's not on a list, it doesn't exist. So you need a list of what they're doing. Now, these are some simple solutions and suggestions, for what is really a simple and easy to fix time management problem. That's what all this boils down to. You're not dedicating the time to be successful. Therefore, all your time is spent fighting off poverty. Guys, you should check out one of our upcoming 2-day process implementation workshops. They're called the Fix My Insurance Agency Workshop. We're conducting several workshops throughout 2020. That sounds weird to say, doesn't it? Throughout 2020. For more information, just search fixmyinsuranceagency.com or go to inspirenation.org and click on the Fix My Insurance Agency Info tab. This is Billy Williams, president of Inspire Nation Business Mentoring and the head instructor of the Fix My Insurance Agency workshops. You guys have a great day.